the case that was made by Justice Indu Malhotra, specifically with regard to the Padmanabh Swami temple, was here was a temple which was one of the richest in the country in terms of assets it owned. Why should the state government of Kerala, whether it is CPM state government or any party that is running the state government, why should they get a share in the proceeds or the earnings that devotees give to the temple? They're not giving it to the state.
Yeah, see, first of all, it is not just the question of the communists. And you just took the name of Vaishno Devi Shrine. And let me tell you that when Mohanji was the Lieutenant Governor of J&K at that time, that was the time when he noticed that there were a lot of malfunctionings that were taking place financially and management and otherwise in the shrine. And it was he who somehow facilitated that a board properly be made and the funds should also be regulated and management should be done. So it is not just a question of the communists. So, I mean, when the state government controls religious organizations, especially the temples, there are two benefits. Number one, the misuse of the funds does not take place. It doesn't go into the pockets of the priests, and it is not used by personal families, which has been happening in this country for centuries. Because devotees are actually devoting the money for the upkeep of the temple and for welfare activities.
No,
Number
but
two,
Mr. Srivastav, can I ask one question? The devotee is giving the money to his or her favorite god or goddess to that temple. They are not giving
yes.
the money to the state. They're already paying money to the state through form of taxes. Why should the
Yes.
state get a share of the money that the devotee is giving to the temple?
The state does not want to take up that money, and the state, ultimately, there is no personal person. The state is the government, and the government belongs to the people. Funds
Okay.
are being taken basically to regulate the functioning. And secondly, there are many other decisions. It is not just about money. I mean, for example, if you take Akshardham temple has got branches. There is a temple in Gujarat. Then there came a temple came up in Delhi. There could be a temple coming up somewhere else also. Funds are being channelized. So who regulates? Who decides where to spend, what to spend? So
No.
there are many other decisions.
Anyway,
Secondly,
should it be the job of the state to regulate? But anyway, let me ask KJ Alphonse. The case being made by the likes of Vivek Srivastav is that there have been multiple instances where these temple management committees or management committees of various shrines, corruption has been found. People were using it for their own personal aggrandizement. There was no oversight. He says ultimately, in a democratic setup like India, why should a royal family or classes and structures that we had pre-independence, why should exclusively one family or two family or a bunch of individuals run popular shrines? It should be left to the state, because ultimately the people choose the state.
Saka, I don't agree with this argument at all. I believe that religion is something which is personal. It is a question of a personal belief. It must be managed by the devotees. In fact, it's surprising Indu Malhotra has referred specifically to the communists. You know, Karl Marx said religion is the opium of the people. They are atheists. How can atheists control management of the temple? I mean, it's a contradiction in ideology itself. So I think it's completely, if you take the Marxists, I think it's completely a contradiction to have temple management, and therefore I think it's completely out. And secondly, I believe that management of all temples across the country, it should be left to the devotees. I mean, if you bring the same argument that there is corruption and therefore let the state take over, isn't the state much more corrupt generally than any of these bodies? Take, for example, the Christian church. I'm a Christian. So why shouldn't the state take over also management of Christian churches? Because apparently there is corruption in some places, though it may not be very large scale. So you can use the same argument to take over Christian churches, Muslim mosques, and all Sikh religious places. So you can use the same argument saying there is a chance of misappropriation. I really believe it's best to leave the management and administration of temples and all religious places to the believers and their bodies.
I think this